very first thing I want to do is to talk about payday loans. And really, some of you may be familiar with payday loans, some of you may not be. This link right here, which is a PBS video on payday loans, is really a great video. I'm not going to play that during this presentation, but if you'll notice the link up here, you can get to that link from there. And if you just scroll down, you'll see that the video will pop up. But a really good video explaining payday loans and the positives and negatives and really the reasons why people do those things. But again, that is a video that's available at responsiblelending.org with my students. I've already shared this with you, this entire presentation. So if you just open up this presentation, play it just like I am here, you'll be able to get to that video. I do want to continue on because one of the assignments that you have for this unit is to go to the GHS Math 2012 Twitter feed. And on that link, I have provided you with resources. Your assignment is going to find 10 facts or stories about payday loans or similar high interest rate loans. Tweet those facts by adding them to your blog, and then tweet your blog. If you don't know how to do that, come and see me, and I'll help you do that. But again, when you do tweet that on your blog, after you get the blog complete and you're ready to tweet it, you need to put hashtag GHS Math 2012 on that so that it will be on the GHS Math 2012 Twitter page. So really, payday loans, what are they? Well, payday loans, pretty simple process to get the loan. Really, the only thing that you need is a job and a paycheck. When you go into a payday loan facility, that's exactly what they're going to ask you. They want to confirm that you do have a job, and they want to see a pay stub so that you can get a loan. But really, that's all. They don't check credit. They aren't concerned with any of those types of things. And what they're going to require you to do is to write a post-dated check. So for example, if you want to borrow $100, they are going to ask you to write a check for $115. And that $15 is your interest that you will pay on that $100. They will hold that check. They will give you $100 in cash, and you'll be on your merry way. The payday loan store will hold that check for 2 weeks or until you get your paycheck. And then what you have to do is to make sure that you have $115 in your checking account to cover your check. And if you don't, you'll pay penalties and fees, and you'll have to resubmit for another loan. So if you start with $100, in 2 weeks, you end up with $115. If you can't pay that off and you have to go with another loan, your interest rate is still 15%. Now that's on $115, that raises it to $132.25. You go 6 weeks, it takes up to $152.09. There is a formula to be able to do that. We're going to talk more about this later, but the starting loan amount was $100. The interest rate is 15%, so we put 1.15 for 15% plus the amount that you borrow. And then you'll notice this 3 here is an exponent, and that's for 3 different times that the interest will be applied. So it's every 2 weeks is when the interest is applied here. So for 6 weeks, the interest will be applied 3 times. Those are the units that you'll pay interest on. So if you put that in your calculator and you work it out, you don't have to do each of these steps. It'll just calculate exactly what that amount is. 1 year. If you have this loan for 1 year, you start with $100, you have the interest rate of 15%, but now notice I have 26, and that would be 26 2-week interest rate installments, because there's 52 weeks in a year, and that adds up to $3,785.68. Only $100 of that is the money that you started with. So you can see that the interest rate climbs dramatically. So if you're going to take out a car loan, if you want to kind of compare a car loan to a payday loan, let's say you take out a car loan for $1,000. The first year, the interest rate for this is only $50. Remember, if you had the payday loan for 1 year on just $100, it was over $3,000. The second year, it only takes you up to $1,100. The third year takes you up to about $1,157. The fourth year of a car loan is $1,215, and the fifth year, typical car loan would be 5 years long. You would end up having to pay back $1,276.28. A 6-year loan for like a brand new car, which obviously $1,000 wouldn't cover that. You would only have interest of $340 plus your $1,000. That's a pretty reasonable amount to pay for a loan. So that's a car loan. That's not a bad interest rate. That's only a 5% interest, annual interest rate. If you go to a payday loan, $1,000 at 15% every 2 weeks. Remember, this interest rate is 15%, so it's more than the interest rate that we had on a car loan. And it's applied every 2 weeks, not every year. So year one, you would pay $37,000 on a $1,000 loan. Year two, it jumps up to $1 million. Year three, it's at $54 million. Year four, it's at $2 billion. And year five, it is $7 trillion, 7.8 as a matter of fact. And then when you get to year six, the total just is astronomical. Beyond that, actually year five I think was $7 billion, and then year six is $2 trillion, $2.9 trillion. Obviously, nobody's going to loan you $1,000 at 15% interest every 2 weeks for a 6-year period of time. Like I said, payday loans are designed for short term. However, people do take these loans out and can't pay them back and get stuck paying interest rates, and they grow and grow and grow, and they really grow at a rapid rate. So this comparison to a car loan, obviously you got to stick with the car loan. Here's basically how you calculate what your loan would be. Again, the amount of money that you borrowed, in this case we talked about $1,000, but even if it was for a brand new car, say $20,000, 1 point and then whatever your interest rate is. So if it's 6%, it would be 1.06. If it was 15%, it's 1.15, and that's the annual interest rate. Now, if it's an annual interest rate, then this would be years. If it's an interest rate that's every 2 weeks, this would be how many 2-week periods would you have. So you calculate those things. So if you take this last calculation that we did, borrowing $1,000 from a payday loan at 15% interest every 2 weeks, for 6 years, that's 156 2-week periods of time. So there's 318 weeks in a 6-year period of time. If you put all that in a calculator, you're going to come up with the same number that we just had. If you have a $200, payday loan, and you get paid enough, to cover that in 2 weeks, you do pay quite a bit in interest, but you can get by, and then if you pay it off in 2 weeks, you're done. If you can't, though, that's where it really starts adding up, and it gets to be very, very expensive to do payday loans. Also, in this presentation I have is a worksheet. Starting here on page 13, there are level 1 questions talking about borrowing money on a credit card and how you calculate that. You can use the formula information I just gave you in the presentation. Talks about borrowing a car. We've already done some of that. Borrowing from a payday loan. And then there are level 2 questions, which become a little bit more in-depth. All right, and there are several questions there. Then you get to level 3. There are some questions to do. And then the Einstein questions are the last ones, which again, you need to do all of these questions in order to complete this assignment.